necessarily overstaffed. We need to look at those areas and administration. Do we need all of the current administrators? Let's take a look and see if they're absolutely necessary. So making cuts will not be that difficult. We have a school system that, building-wise, was designed for a greater number of students than we currently have.
Right.
So it will be necessary to look at that situation and see if we can't cut away some more schools. One of the programs that I think is important is that we have 3 high schools. We don't necessarily need 3 high schools, but we do need a program that allows our 9th graders to transition from middle school to high school. And one of the ideas that I hope to be able to convince my fellow board members is that perhaps we need to consider a transition school for 9th graders. Suppose they have them go from 8th grade into 9th grade, where they're in with much larger students, people that are geared for, have their minds geared for graduation. They still have that middle school attitude. We need to get them transitioned into high school. And I hope to be able to convince my board members that a 9th grade transition school is the best thing for our students. That, in my opinion, will help us in eliminating dropout.
Okay.
That would help us in continue. You spoke about attendance, what have you. That would help us eliminate the loss of students if we can transition these 9th graders. 9th graders generally tend to think about dropping out as soon as they get to be 16, and there are reasons for them wanting to drop out. They are behind in their classwork. They have some problems at home, and they just don't feel that they belong. If we can get them in a transition school, so turn one of our high schools into a place where all of the 8th grade middle schoolers go when they graduate 8th grade, and they learn what's expected of them for the next 3 years. Maybe then they will, and at that same time, give them the assistance that they need academically, so that they can get close to on or near that grade level. Okay. Then perhaps we can end some of that dropout problem that we have.
All right, great. Listen, you're watching Meet the Candidates. I'm Paul Herring, your host, speaking with Mr. Tutt, one of the candidates for the Flint School Board election, which is May 9th or May 3rd?
May 3rd.
May 3rd. So I need to encourage each and every one of you to not only go out and vote, but take 2 people with you. It's a shame the voting records we have here in Flint is just abysmal. When I went to the polls for the last election, there were only 83 people that had voted in my ward, and there's some 1,700 registered voters. So I need to encourage you to encourage your friends and the people you know that voting is important, and we'll be right back after this.
Are you interested in helping your community? Are you concerned about the homeless, literacy,
television, no commercials, sit and listen. People just like you and me, voices of community, freedom to communicate only on cable. This is great, our nation's First Amendment TV. Cats, kids, history, environmental manatees, beaches, parks, and scenery. Turn us on, you might see me. Controversy, politics, spiritual and skating tricks. Our nation's First Amendment TV.
All right, we're back. You're watching Meet the Candidates, and I want to thank you for tuning in to Public Access Channel 17. This is our last soapbox, guys, and we need to protect it as much as we possibly can. If you want to get on the Save Public Access list, you can do so by giving me a call at 810-239-2901, or you can email me at paul@spectacleproductions.com. That's SPECTACLE. Productions with an S.com, and we'll get you on the list. Also, before I get back with you, Mr. Tutt, I need to take one more moment to do a little commercial. We're getting geeked up about this year's Juneteenth celebration. It's going to be hosted in downtown Flint from the 16th to the 19th of June. We're looking for church groups, we're looking for singers, we're looking for dancers, talent, and entrepreneurs. If you're out there making a move in the community, we need to know where you are. So you give us a call at 810-239-2901. Come on down, set up in Riverbank Park. Let us know where you are so that we can share the wealth, or as I like to say, use Ujamaa, which is one of the principles of Kwanzaa and cooperative economics, to bring this city back to the powerhouse it needs to be. With that said, Mr. Tutt, I'm going to ask you a question off the cuff. Is it expensive to run for the school board? Is there a lot of money involved?
From the candidate's point of view?
Yeah, from the candidate's point of view.
Not necessarily a lot of money. You just have to get out and work. There's a lot of hard work involved.
Okay.
As far as money is concerned, it's not a lot of hard money. So there's no one that's paying me, and therefore I'm in no one's pocket.
There you go. I was listening about the presidential election, and a lady in California who spent some $4 million to lose the race, and that was just unfathomable to me. If I spent $10K and lost a race, I'd be a hurting unit. Let's get back to some of the things of the board. What are the responsibilities, again, of the school board? What role do they play in educating our youth?
They establish policy. That's the role of the school board, is to establish policy. And their primary reason for establishing policy, as I indicated before, is student achievement. But they establish policy, they are the guardians of the money, and they create a vision for students in education.
Now, when I hear the word policy, when you say policy to me, I think about you can't bring a knife to school. You can't bring a gun to school. If you get 5 tardies, you have to go home for 2 days. Is that the type of things you're talking about when you're talking about policy, or am I off?
Well, you're off, because those things, it's illegal to bring guns to school.
Right.
And you're off. Policy of things like the number of the contracts.
Okay.
Okay. Setting policy with reference to contracts. Setting policy as to how the types of curriculum that we're going to be using, the textbooks that we're going to be buying, the general rules for educating the kids. We also have the responsibility of following the law. So.
Well, you know, I always hear that our educational system is archaic and it's designed for the farming industry, our agricultural industry, and that's why we're off 3 months in the summer so that the kids could not be in school and get the crops in. Does the school board have the ability to change that type of setup where maybe the kids go straight through and just get a month off, or, you know, the timing of the school day and the school year? It seems like we've got a lot of kids that need some help, and that it cannot necessarily be done in the time frame that we're allowing for it. Is that something that the school board can affect?
Well, that's tradition that you're talking about, and historically that is the way our school board across the country. But that's a policy issue, and the policy issue could be that we have longer days, shorter days. We spend more time in the school. We could policy issue could be that as opposed to having three so-called 3 months off, we could cut that down to this. We could have longer school years. That's a policy issue. That is something that could be considered. Yes.
It almost seems like it leads to the expense. You know, that if you added another month to the school year, you're going to add another month's worth of expenses, right?
Are you sure about that? Let us see if you add another summer month to the school year. What happened to the heating bill? We don't have heat that month, right? Is that right?
Right.
So you can add that. You could add June, but then we have a problem. We would have a complaining problem about it would be too hot in the building. Right. But we can adjust to that. Open some windows, do some fans. That could assist that. But you could cut down on some of those expenses. We need some downtime because there's some maintenance that's necessary around the buildings. Okay, so we need some downtime, but we could extend the school year, and that's a policy issue that could be worked out. But that's also a contractual issue. We'd have to talk to our various unions to find out whether or not that's an agreeable thing that they would be willing to work.
Okay. In about 60 seconds or less, I want to give you an opportunity to look at this camera here and encourage the people out there to vote for you. Okay? Can you do that for me?
Certainly.
All right. You're on.
Very good. I believe that I am. In fact, I know that I am the best choice of the field of candidates. I'm the best choice because of my experience. I'm the best choice because I believe in kids. I believe that we can improve their education. I believe that they are our future and that we must get involved in their lives to a greater extent. I believe that we need to find a new way, a clear way, to increase or to improve our educational system. And I believe that I am the best choice to do that because of my experience, my passion, and my passion for our community. That's 60 seconds or less.
Yeah, you did it good in a nutshell. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Meet the Candidates, and again, I want to thank you for tuning in. And my closing remarks, all I'm going to say is vote. Good night.